Hey everybody, this is Sam. I'm one of the co-founders of Spoonful. I'm just going to give it 1 minute, let people trickle in before we get started. A couple of housekeeping notes. This is going to be recorded and posted to our Facebook page right after the broadcast, so don't worry if you missed it. We'll send it around after we're done. Just going to give it another 30 seconds or so. Alrighty. All right, thanks guys for coming. Like I said, my name's Sam. I'm one of the co-founders of Spoonful. We are based in Oakland, California. It's me, my co-founder Deepa Krishnan, and we've got one engineer in Vancouver, so we're a pretty small team. We released the app back in October, and we're excited for all the things to come. I think it's going to be a great short demo here, and then after the demo, we'll answer any questions that you guys have. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So let's see, I'm going to pop up my phone here. And this is the Spoonful app. If you don't have the app, it's pretty easy to get. Just go to the Apple Store, search for Spoonful, and it's right there. So a couple things. Trio here. We've got some organic brown rice cakes, and it's pretty simple. All you got to do is scan the label. Sorry, one sec, guys. Well, that's not good. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here's my bands of pasta. We break things down into low, moderate, and high. If you'll see on this pasta, this is a moderate. It contains chickpeas. And if you want to know more information about it, you can click on the ingredient, and we'll tell you a little bit about it. And we'll also, on certain items, we'll give you substitute options so you can make the right decision on your shopping list. And then my last item is, I don't know if anyone is familiar with Cincinnati chili, but this is something called Skyline. It's probably not great for your gut because it has onion and garlic. Again, I can click into garlic and I can get a description of what type of FODMAP it is. In this case, it's an oligo. Then I can get substitution ideas, green tips of spring onions, green tips of leek, et cetera, et cetera. And a quick note, all of our notes are written by one of our dietitians. We've got two on staff. One is Vanessa right here. You can learn about her by clicking on her name. And then the other one is Liz McMahon. They're both registered dietitians with a specialty in low FODMAP. So we want to be the food discovery tool beyond just seeing if an individual item is high or low FODMAP. So if you click on Discover, you can actually see a list of all the things that people have scanned. And I really like this list because you can scroll down, you can search for something, say chips, and it'll pull up all the different chips that people have scanned. And you can kind of comb through these. And if you like something, if you swipe right on it, similar to a Spotify playlist, you can add it to your favorites. So I usually add a few green ones. And then to check out your favorites, it's pretty simple. You just come over here, and then here's your little shopping list. So that's the Spoonful basics. Just a one note, I know people who are logging in with Facebook or Google for the first time had their username either be their email or their full name. If you want to change that, we actually made an update in our latest release. If you click on the menu here in the top left-hand corner, you'll see your username, and then you can edit it. So you can edit it to, whatever you want, and it'll save for you. I'm just going to move mine back real quick. Cool. And if you have questions as we go, I will be fielding them. And that's it for the demo. I'm going to move this off, and I'm going to bring in one of my colleagues, actually Vanessa, our dietitian. Just give me 1 second to pull her in here. Let's see, where are you, Vanessa? I don't see her. Sorry, guys, give me just 1 second. See if we can bring her in here. While we wait for Vanessa, do you guys have any questions, anything? I think one question we get a lot is, sorry, here we go. It says we need to go live. Oh, interesting. One question we get a lot is, what's our methodology on products? So we look at the ingredients to roll it up into whether a product is low, moderate, or high FODMAP. So what that means, I'm actually going to bring my screen up again real quick. So for example, if I take this nut mix that someone just scanned, we're basically flagging, we're looking at this ingredients list here, and we're flagging anything that would be considered lower or moderate or high FODMAP. That's the methodology for most cases. There are some foods, I will say, let's see, some certified foods like Enjoy Life. So if you see the little FODMAP friendly icon next to it, that means that it's certified. So regardless of what ingredients are in it, this has actually been lab tested by the FODMAP friendly food program, and it's low FODMAP. So these are safe. Feel free to eat anything with these little insignias next to them. And then the last type is something called low FODMAP products with high FODMAP ingredients. So that's things like ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, I think I said that right, soy sauce, and things like that. So for example, tomato ketchup, if you look in this ingredient list, you'll actually see that it has natural flavors, which are sometimes flagged as yellow, and it also has onion powder. But in this case, it's lab tested, and the onion powder is pretty insignificant for the overall FODMAP content of the product, so we won't flag those. That's the same with something like a cheese as well. So if I type in cheese here, get all of our lovely cheeses. So for example, Colby Jack cheese sticks, it does have pasteurized milk in it, but the lactose is low enough that it actually makes the cheese safe at a reasonable serving size. So we do a little more than just rolling up ingredients into the product. We actually have a little bit of logic that helps you figure out some of the high FODMAP ingredients that are in low FODMAP products. I'm still trying to bring you in, Vanessa. I don't see I don't see your. Yeah, if anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them now while we wait. I think this is our first time going live here, so it's never without a hiccup, unfortunately. We're trying to bring in Vanessa, our dietitian. So hopefully she can join and we can do a little split screen. The plan was to ask her a few of the frequently asked questions that we get, so you can get a dietitian's perspective on some of the nuances of the diet. So strange. Ah, there she is. There you are. Okay. And you're in. Hey, everybody. Yeah, we got Vanessa here. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened, but we're trying a new software that's helping us on Facebook Live. But anyways, Vanessa, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vanessa Cobarrubia. I'm a dietitian. I'm a FODMAP trained dietitian. I've gone through the Monash training and I've been helping with this development of the Spoonful app.
Awesome. And some of you guys might recognize Vanessa from some of the notes. If you ever click in on any of the ingredients, you'll probably see her headshot in there with a little blurb. So Vanessa, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and feel free, anybody in the audience, to chime in as we go. So the first question that we get a lot is yellow products. So if we turn something back as moderate, where should I go from there?
Since the low FODMAP diet is not really a black and white diet, there is many food products that are low at specific amounts, but when you consume them in larger amounts, they become high FODMAP. So we've identified those foods as yellow. So when you see an ingredient that's whether the product or the ingredient is yellow, I really encourage you to look further. Don't assume that's a product you cannot have when you're on the low FODMAP elimination phase. But we encourage you to reference back to the low FODMAP or the Monash app, where it's going to give you specific recommendations on what a low FODMAP serving size is. So therefore, you could determine how much of that food product you could eat. And most likely you could have that product, but just you're going to watch the portion of it.
Cool. And we got another one. Is it okay to estimate the FODMAP content of a product from its ingredients? And what is your take on that?
I think it is okay to estimate based on the ingredients. The Monash has certified many products in FODMAP friendly, as you mentioned before. So we truly don't know if a food product is low FODMAP unless it's certified. However, the reality is they're not going to test every sort of food. So that's why me and Liz, as dietitians, used our clinical experience to say, first, we're thinking, when I first try to determine ingredient, I like to think, is this product a protein? If it's a protein, it's not going to be a high FODMAP. Is it a true fat? It will not be. Is it a carbohydrate? If so, then there is a possibility that it may be high FODMAP. So, so I want to look deeper into the ingredients and make that assessment from there. So I would say yes, by looking at ingredients, you can make a very good guess. I guess that's the best we can do if this product is low FODMAP or high.
Yeah, makes sense. And then I know we get all the time, there's sort of two tricky categories for FODMAP shopping. First one is bread, and the second one is cheese. Do you mind speaking to those a little bit and maybe giving people some tips on how to shop for those items?
Sure. I think a lot of times when we're trying to teach somebody how to follow low FODMAP diet, we're trying to encourage them to really reduce and limit their wheat intake. So as an alternative to regular wheat products, we usually recommend a gluten-free a gluten-free bread. However, gluten is a protein, and that's not really the high FODMAP ingredient. It's the fructan, which is the carbohydrates. So if we just recommend a gluten-free bread, there definitely could be high FODMAP ingredients in there, such as inulin, chicory roots, date puree, prune juice puree. So I do think it's helpful to scan with the Spoonful app, because I think it will help red flag some of those ingredients. There are a few low FODMAP a few low FODMAP breads. So I do think using your Discover will help to determine that. What I have noticed, because I do work, I do see, or I've worked in this low FODMAP community for a while, and I've noticed that breads vary from East Coast to West Coast, and we have certain brands here in the West Coast that we have in the East Coast. So usually I recommend some of the Udis I know are always low FODMAP. Here in the West Coast, we have Franz, which I know are some, but we don't have that on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So that's one recommendation. And also true, like a sourdough bread can also be a low FODMAP in small portions, but we do have to pay attention to the ingredients with that. So that's kind of my recommendations. I do encourage people to look towards the gluten-free, but just paying attention to the ingredients and not just generalize that all gluten-free breads are in fact low FODMAP. And then regarding the cheese, the Monash has tested more and more cheese products. So we're seeing more of those on the app tested as low FODMAP. A recommendation I usually say for cheese is more higher in protein. It's pretty low in carbohydrates. We kind of make a general rule: if the carbohydrates or the sugar content, which is basically the same, is 1 gram or less, then the lactose content would be low enough to consider that a low FODMAP product, and that would be a cheese. Typically that's going to fall under the H cheeses. Some of the cheese foods, I think of Cheese Whiz or cheese in a can, those may have extra lactose in it from whey or just more dry milk solids. So those are the ones I'd use more cautions with. And also some of the newer cheese, like the fresh mozzarella balls, those can contain extra amounts of lactose.
Got it. And we go ahead.
Yeah, so aged cheeses, and looking at that label to say 1 gram of lactose or less would be a good indication that it is low FODMAP.
Awesome. And a quick note on cheeses. We actually have improved the way we analyze cheese within the last day. So if you'll notice the cheeses that you scan now, especially the low lactose cheeses, most of those will be green products. So we would consider those low in FODMAPs. So we know that was something with the app before, where a lot of the cheeses were red, but I really encourage you guys to go back in the app, try to scan some cheeses, see the results, and take it from there. We put a lot of work into the low FODMAP cheese category, so take a look. And then I actually, one question for you to go a little bit back to the yellow products. Let's say a product is yellow and one of the ingredients I can't find by double checking Monash. Is there a recommended, like, should I try it? Should I give it like a half serve, or like, what do you recommend for that?
So it is, when you're trying to follow the low FODMAP diet, the reality is that you can try foods that have not been tested, that are not in the app. What we encourage you to do is, I would kind of look at the ingredient, like where does it fall on the ingredient list? If it's pretty low, unlikely that ingredient is not present in high amounts. I like to encourage when you want to try a new food, to test when your symptoms are under pretty good control. I do agree with what you said, maybe starting with a small serving. We say test your tolerance, maybe observe your symptoms for 24 hours. How did you respond to that? If you did fine with it, we can make a good assumption that it's probably not going to have enough of a FODMAP load to trigger a symptom. So I would try that food product again in a bigger serving. And I think that could also reduce the anxiety, which in itself can help reduce IBS symptoms. So yes, I would say you could include it. You don't, just because it's not been identified as high or low, I would not say you have to omit that from your diet. We don't want to be overly restrictive.
Right, right. And I think that was our intention behind making this app, was to show people, you don't have to shop from the same list of foods that you get at the GI doctor that have been recirculated time after time. There's tons of brands and products out there that are low in FODMAPs. So just keep that in mind when you're grocery shopping. I think that's all the questions that we got prior to the broadcast. Again, this will be recorded. We'll send the recording out via our Facebook page and maybe via email. So if you missed it, no problem. Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Bye.